Welcome to another episode of Founders Club. Today I'm going to be talking to Alicia Jarrett about how to buy properties in a different market. Not only out of state, but Alicia lives in Australia and has a full-time real estate investing business right here in the United States. We're going to be talking about how she finds and vets deals to make sure she's not getting ripped off, her top strategies for generating leads using data, and how she built her real estate investing business with a 100% virtual team. If you have any questions, put them in the box down below. Make sure you elbow drop that like button so other people just like you can find this video. And as always, if you like money and you like real estate, hit that subscribe button because this is the show for you. We'll see you on the inside. Welcome to Founders Club, the show for real estate entrepreneurs. Very excited to be talking to you today. I think what I found most interesting about what you're doing is not only are you investing out of market, but you're investing in a completely different country. So I really want to just kind of learn more about that because I know there's a lot of apprehension around that whole thing and going out of state and out of market and feeling like they're going to get ripped off and things like that. So just want to kind of dive in. I know you're doing a lot of deals here in the US, but you
Yep,
live in Australia. So I want to
we
know
do.
kind of everything about that. But why don't we start by just giving us a little background?
Sure, Oliver. So firstly, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. So a little bit of background. So yeah, as you folks listening can tell, I'm an Australian. I'm terrible at doing US accents, so I'll stick to my Aussiness. But we have been doing investing in real estate in the US for more than 5 years now, Oliver. And what's been really interesting about that is a lot of people often say, well, why don't you just keep investing at home? And the market here is vastly different to what it is in the US in terms of the entry point to the market, what you can do in the market, how you get your returns, all of that completely different. So we've been doing the US now for more than 5 years. Where we started, Oliver, we did houses, we did a few fix and flips. So, 5 years ago, HGTV has got a lot to answer for with all of their fix and flip shows that they put on, because we caught the bug. We went and did some houses and loved it. It was super exciting. But as a lot of people know, you can start an asset class, and when that asset class changes in its real estate cycle or stops performing as you thought it would, then it's time to change. So about 4 years ago, we switched 4.5 years ago now, I think. Time flies so quickly, Oliver. We switched to doing land. And so we have been actively buying and selling and holding, and we're about to explore subdividing to do forced appreciation. We do seller financing. We're doing a whole bunch of stuff in the vacant land space, and that's been fantastic. So over 5 years on, we haven't looked back. We've now got four businesses in total in the US, and over 15 people in our collective teams, and we're going great guns. It's been a fantastic ride. So yes, to come back to your question too, we're living proof that if people are scared about doing business in another state, we're doing this from halfway around the world. It's been fine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to talk about that. I'm also investing out of state. I live in California and I do deals in Arizona just because, like you said, the economics make more sense. And, so I just want to kind of break down like a how-to on the whole process of investing out of state, out of market.
Yep.
You're in Melbourne, Australia, correct?
We do the best city in Australia, just so people know. But we do. So, do you want me to go into and kind of break down the process of how we got that all started?
Yes, I definitely
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
Yeah, we can just get right into it. Let's
Here's
go.
here's the big aha moment for anybody listening. It's really no different to when you're in the country. So just like anybody else, we had to set up an LLC, and we actually set up a corporation with a number of LLCs in it because we wanted to structure our business in a certain ways. We had to find an attorney to help us with that. We had to find an accountant that knew as a real estate investor what we wanted to do with our business and help us with that. We then had to find some boots on the ground resources, just like you're in California, you're doing deals in Arizona. So you've probably got title agencies, realtors, brokers, and network of people in Arizona that you can lean on. We did exactly the same, Oliver. So we just jumped on the phone, jumped on Google, started to do some research and put those relationships in place. Probably the only difference is we then jumped on a plane and flew 14 hours from Melbourne to LA, and then I think it's another 6 hours from there to Florida, where we do all of our deals. And we went and met all of these people. So I think the most important thing as a real estate investor, no matter what asset class you're in, whatever team you're putting in place, go and meet them, even if it's in another location. Go and solidify those relationships and put them in place. Um, from then on, it was all systems go. So then it was about, like any other business, how do we set up our business strategy, our branding, our websites, our online marketing, our offline marketing? All of that is exactly the same. So the only thing that is different, Oliver, is that we're in a different time zone. So we do work pretty weird hours every now and then. And we are classed as aliens, believe it or not, even though you can see me right now and I don't have green horns or anything hanging out here. We're classed as aliens as opposed to residents, which means we don't have a social security number. We have what's called an ITIN, and an ITIN number, which is the equivalent, just means that we're not a resident. So the only thing that impedes us with is doing things like working with a bank, working with certain private money lenders that might want us to have a credit rating, all of that stuff. So that's the only thing that ever really gets in the way. Oh, and when you're using mobile notaries, they also want a social security number. But like anything, Oliver, there's a way around that. So with our boots on the ground people, we've set up a lot of our team members who are in the US to actually do things like sign documents on our behalf. We give them permission, and they're the ones that can actually sign for us. So there's really nothing that stops people from investing in another state, let alone another country, because not much changes. The main thing around it, Oliver, is your mindset has got to be that whenever an obstacle comes up, you just find a new way around it. So it's really not that different.
Called problem solving. So,
Exactly.
a couple of things that you mentioned there, which I think are hugely important, is number one, obviously, you have to have a good team to be able to do something like that. So I want to talk about like how you're building those teams, kind of
Yep.
how you're vetting people and all of that. And then one distinction I heard, which I also agree with and do the same thing, is that you fly there and you meet with them and you build a relationship. Um,
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
that's a
So
critical piece is like, it's not
absolutely
that you're
critical.
never going there. You don't have to be there all the time, but you probably have to go a couple times.
you know, eyeballing somebody has a lot to do with things. And I think, pre-COVID, so my partner Matt and I, we've got this business together. Pre-COVID, we were spending like half of our year in the States. We'd go over for a few months and spend time with our friends, our network, our business partners, conferences, loads of different things, masterminds, and then we'd come back and then we'd go over again. So that has stopped. But what's been incredible is because we put all that work into those relationships up front, the business hasn't changed, even though we haven't been able to go back in 2 years. So let's
Mm.
start with relationships and how we formed those. What's really
Yeah.
interesting is the realtor that we have on our team and the title company that we have on our team. They've been with us from the very beginning, and here's why. When we started, we were just starting out doing some houses. We just put some phone calls out to a whole bunch of realtors in our area. So we started in Duval County in Florida. We put out the call to quite a few realtors and said, "Hey, we're calling you from Australia," which may sound weird 5 years ago. We're investing in the US. We're looking for a realtor who is going to be investor friendly, that's open to doing some different strategies with us and really helping us. And if that's you, give us a call back. We got two phone calls. One of them was not interested. The other one was a guy called Michael Cassidy. Look him up. He's awesome. So he works for Keller Williams. And he called and he's like, sure, let's explore that. We did our first a couple of houses with him and then on and upwards from there. He's still part of our team. He works with us on some of our bigger land deals. We refer properties to him. He refers buyers to us. And it's still been a long standing relationship. When we went over there, we actually said to him, and this is really important for people going into a new market. We went to Jacksonville where he lives, and we said, look, Michael, first time we're going to meet you. First of all, let's meet you for breakfast and get to know you. Then we want to hire you for the day. We want to get in the car with you And we want you to literally drive us around to all of these areas that we've never seen before and tell us what's a good area? What does that look like? Why is this a bad area? What's going on here? Where's a growth area that people are investing in? Like, give us the lay of the land so that we can really get to know you, but also get to know our market. And first of all, he turned around and said, "No, you're not hiring me. I'm just going to do it for you anyway," which was wonderful because that just shows a character of a person too. And 5 years on, he's still on the team. We look at him as a close friend rather than a realtor. And he then, through a realtor, when you've got a very good relationship with your realtor, they will know probate attorneys, title companies, real estate attorneys. They know those people. So Michael then, through our trusting relationship with him, he introduced us to a few people. Again, we went and met our title company. We went and met our serviced office where we have all of our mail and things go to. We took them cupcakes, we went and said hi and just introduced ourselves. And now we're all on a first name basis and we keep those relationships going. So very critical to go and solidify those relationships 100%.
So walk me through who's on that team of people that you went to meet with, right? So
Yep.
I heard your agent, and I've
Yep.
heard your corporate office or wherever you're getting your mail and things
Correct.
like
Yep.
that, which I'm guessing is just like a virtual office type thing.
It is, but it is actually manned by people, and that's our registered address, but it's also where we get all of our mail sent. They do all of our sorting for us. If customers need to drop off valuable documents, if we're dealing direct with someone, they can do that and they scan it to us and FedEx to us overseas. So they're kind of like our receptionist more than anything, as well as an office. So it's not just a virtual PO box; it's a physical building that exists. That's been really handy, by the way. I know a lot of people just go and get like a virtual mailbox and there's no one there. It's been really good for us to have people there, which has been great. So we have our realtor, we have our office. And so we're very much in touch with our office manager and the customer service people there. We have our main title company that we've been dealing with for more than 5 years. We have 2 backup title companies for when they're a little bit overwhelmed. We have a probate attorney. We have a real estate attorney. And that's pretty much those 7 groups, if you like. They're our main people on the ground in Florida where we do business. Outside of that, we have our customer service team that are all based in the Philippines. So for our land business, we've got 3 full-time customer service people that they take all of our buyer calls, all of our seller calls. I can't tell you the last time, Oliver, I actually spoke to a seller or a buyer. Yeah, I email every now and then, but my team, we've trained them to do everything. So the business kind of now runs itself. I have a daily meeting with them, and they've been with us for over 2 years, and they're fantastic. Outside of that, and this again is just to prove to people that we are a global world these days. So I mentioned that we have 4 companies. One of our other biggest companies is Supercharged Offers, which is our real estate marketing company. The company is based in the US, but we have a team of 10. We have content writers, designers, developers, researchers that write things like ebooks, listicles, white papers. We've got a UX UI developer, which is all about online customer experience. We've got a social media manager, a data scientist, a data processor, a project manager, myself, and my partner, Matt. It's actually 11 people in total, but I always take myself out of that. So, and they are based, to get this, Philippines, Serbia, Bangladesh, Singapore, Australia, and the US. 6 countries. And we've all worked
That's
together now for
insane.
2.5 years. And we were just on the call with one of them last night, actually, our content writer in Serbia, who is wonderful. And he said, we should make it a goal next year when COVID's not as bad for all of us to just meet in a country and have like a team power. And we're like, yes,
Definitely.
great goal.
Yeah.
Let's do that. 6
Yeah.
different countries all coming together. How amazing would that be? So yeah, we truly
Cool.
are a global business. And I think we've worked really hard, Oliver, on setting up the right systems, processes, and relationships to make sure that we can operate from anywhere. And that was our number one goal when we started,
Mhm.
by the way, when we said, let's invest in the US, was let's set up a business where we can do anywhere in the world as long as we've got a laptop and a phone. And we've done that. We've done some deals in some pretty crazy places, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty amazing, and I definitely want to know more about how you've set that all up and how you're managing all these virtual people, because that's kind of like the dream of every entrepreneur is to just have your business completely systematized and have people that are running it so that it sounds like you're maybe having your one meeting a day, and then you're able to go focus on the things you want to focus on. But
Don't get
um,
me wrong. A typical day for me is 12 hours, 14 hours. So it's, we're still working hard because we're
yeah, no,
growing
no,
our
I didn't mean that
businesses.
like you're not working. I meant it more like you're not working on the you're not working in the business.
We're
You're
working
working
on
on
it.
the business.
Absolutely,
Which
100%.
yeah, so uh let's talk about how you did that and how you hired and vetted these people, because I think I've hired people in the Philippines and in all over the place, and the lady we have now is fantastic. She's been with us for 6 months, but before that, it was kind of a total disaster of just bouncing from person to person.
Yeah.
Um, and it sounds like you're pretty good at dealing with people all over the place. So tell me how you set that all up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I think it's good to disclose that I've actually got a background in leadership management and human resources. So I'm kind of used to hiring and managing people. But that said, managing that for your own business in a global environment can be a little bit different. Same as you, though, Oliver. The first time we started hiring resources offshore for our land business, we went through a couple of people. We went through like three before we went, now we know what the magic sauce is. And the magic
Mm.
sauce was really about less reliance on their knowledge and more reliance on their attitude, values, and behaviors. So I always say, hire for attitude, train for skill. And we were trying to get people that maybe had some experience working with other real estate investors, but then you got to unbreak the bad habits that you don't want. So we started fresh and said, let's get people that have got the right attitude, aptitude, and approach to how they work, using things like disc profiling so that you can find out their work styles, and how they approach things, and really understanding, if you've got, for anyone who's listening who knows about disc, you can do online profiles of that for free. If you're hiring a lot of people that you want them to be process people and doers, and follow processes and get things done, and they're a high D, which means dominance, they're probably going to push up against you a little bit. You want people that are high C and high S, which is C is about conscientiousness, doing things right and making sure you've got attention to detail. S is about steadiness, keeping things consistent as they are. That's the kind of profile that you want. We had some high Ds to begin with, and they were in sales positions, but they were great getting on the phone and getting, going at it a million miles an hour. But then when it came to updating the system and processes and letting me know what was going on, it was like, so getting the right profile of person, first of all. Then I think the main thing as well, Oliver, that I've learned over the years is never, ever, ever hire a resource unless you've done that task yourself. I see way too many entrepreneurs and people out there that go and hire a VA to go and do something for them when they haven't done it themselves, so they don't know what good looks like. So one of the things we did early on, Oliver, is made sure that, when we started this business, I was the one on the phone with sellers and buyers. I was the one negotiating. I was the one running comps with my partner, Matt. He was in the background doing research and a whole range of things. So every single task in our business that we do, I've personally done, and so has Matt. And so then when it came to writing things like a position description, KPIs, how we measure this person, when we give feedback, how we give feedback, all of those things we could accurately describe as what does good look like. And then when it came to implementing that person into our systems, we actually have for our land business, there's actually, I'm going to go so far as to say it's a whole month. It's a 4-week period of non-stop training. We don't just put them in the job and say, here's a script, go for it. No, it's 4 weeks. And if I showed you our training plan, it's like 10 pages long. It goes through every single topic of who are we? How's our company? How do we get leads? What do those leads look like? Where do they come from? What's going to be their reaction? How do we put them through some training on overcoming objections and negotiation? We do scripting where we get them to record themselves and have conversations with each other, and then we give them feedback. So it's a good 4 weeks before we even let them loose on the phones. So the whole
I like the
there,
tip of making sure that you've done it first, because I think that's really important. Just
yeah,
same thing with like flipping houses. Like if you've never painted a wall yourself or, pulled some tile out, like it's just easier to get ripped off. It's easier to get,
100%.
hustled. And so, once you've done it
Yeah.
yourself, then you kind of know the drill and you can easier
Yeah.
train someone and all of that.
Yep.
So I'm curious, where are you finding these people? Is it like an Upwork or like, do you use a broker, an agency, or how are you
Yeah,
finding?
so we have used an agency for our first few people. Since then, because we've now found like two people with that agency that are brilliant. Since then, we've actually asked when we need more resources, we've gone to our team and said, guys, you're well networked in your areas. Who do you know that's really great? Who have you worked with before that you trust? And our next few team members have all been referrals, which has been wonderful. When it comes to our specialist expertise, we have gone to Fiverr. Fiverr is a great resource as well as Upwork, but Fiverr tends to be better when it comes to more technical resources. So where we found our content writer and our developer were all on Fiverr, but now they exclusively work for us because our designer and developers have been with us for 4.5, 5 years, and our content writer's been with us for about 3. So they're just exclusively with us now, which is great. So again, once you solidify that relationship, make them part of your team. Don't just keep them as an external thing. Like bring them into the fold. Same with our land team as well. We pay them the local rate, but they have a profit share in all of the deals that we do, and that's life changing for them. So incentivize well when they're doing a good job. And my last piece of advice, I think I would say on having global resources, Oliver. There's too many people I know that hire their staff, and they might speak to them like once a week, daily. Every single day, I'm on a call with my team. Hey, team, what's going on? What do I need to know? What do you need to escalate to me? We've obviously set up really good systems with our CRM for them to be able to work without me, but to a tolerance, right? There gets to a point where they're negotiating with someone and they've reached a ceiling of what's in the system. They need a decision from me. So on a daily basis, we do that. But the main thing is, I've set them up for success with how we're running systems. And the last thing I'll say in this, Oliver, and then I will get off my soapbox when it comes to resourcing, is be okay to let go of control. I know too many people that have resources and they want to control everything. Like you're dealing with a human who actually, when you give them credit, they're actually, a lot of the resources out there are really actually pretty good at what they do, but we tend to restrict them with, no, I only want you to do this and this, and then that's it. It's like, well, actually, if we said to them, here's the outcome that we want, you tell me how you want to get there and tell me your ideas and your thoughts, and they start to own things, um, you see the best in people when that happens. So let go of control. As long as you're managing risk, you can get your team to do a whole range of things that they're capable of or maybe not capable of, and you train them on. That makes them feel good. And when they feel good, they
Yeah,
do good.
I like that. When they feel good, they do good. So, okay, so tell me about, um, back to investing out of state, investing out of market, in your case, investing in a different country. What, tell me about the first deal you did.
The first deal we did was a house. And coming back to what you said before, this was a fix and flip that we actually got involved in. We went over, we bought the house sight unseen. And then when it came to demo day, we actually went over with Michael and we all donned our hard hats and our goggles and we literally ripped the place apart and took everything out. And that was a heck of a lot of fun, I got to say. But we wanted to also experience like what was it like to plan that, do that, have a project plan in place, all of that. So the first one that we did, it was a triplex. It was an old house that had been converted into 3 individual 1 bedroom, 1 bath. It was pretty crappy. I think we bought it. Now this is going back nearly 5 years ago. Now I think we bought it for about 17,000, and it was in a pretty bad neighborhood, but it was a neighborhood that needed affordable housing, or what I would say is fair housing. Lots of places that were derelict that just needed a small fix up to get done, and this place was currently unlivable. So we put a contract team in place. We went in there, we fixed up the basics. We didn't spend any more than what needed to be spent based upon the rental return for that property, but we fixed it up to the point that it was safe, it was comfortable, and it was livable. So replaced flooring, replaced the roof because it was leaking, did a paint job, put in a new bathroom, new kitchens, but they were basic bathrooms and kitchens, so nothing special. And then we got tenants in, and we kept those tenants for about a year, and they were wonderful. And then we sold it fully tenanted, creating a positive return. Don't ask me the numbers now because it's quite a while ago, but we sold it with a positive return, and I think we sold it in the end for in the 80s from memory, after the rehab. So our profit after all of it was definitely up in the 40s to 50s from memory, and we sold it with a positive return already on it. So that was a great project to get involved with. And then from there, we did a couple more houses, and it was fantastic. Although
What
he's
state was that in?
Florida.
Was that in Florida? Florida. So you bought the house for 17,000, fixed it up. You say you put another 20 into it or something like that.
Yeah, it was
How,
just under 20 in the end. Yep.
okay, so you're all in under just under 40. Was that all cash at the time, or did you use a loan for anything?
Nope.
Okay,
All
so
cash.
all cash, all in for 40. You got the tenants in there.
We
They
got a
proved to be
year's
good
worth of
tenants
positive
over a
income.
year.
Yep.
Okay, and then you put it back on the market and sold it with the tenant in place for 80,000.
Yep.
It's pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
For our
really good.
first deal, we were pretty happy.
Yeah, yeah, I'll bet. So where did it go from there?
So we did a couple more houses, and really got into the swing of things with putting a contract team in place. So we started to edge, talking about control. We started to edge back from the doing and more about the project managing, and got a team in place with Michael. We did a few more houses, and was all pretty good. But then we started to see a shift in the market for two things. One, it became harder to get an off market property for a low price, because everyone was getting into the fix and flip game. But it also became harder to keep our contract team because people were starting to pay. They were poaching good contractors and saying, we'll pay you twice as much if you stay on our job. So we were finding the project management of things was getting challenging. And our last house that we did, Oliver, here's the other advice I would give to people. We changed strategy. So we were sticking with more affordable housing. We had a passion around providing people places to live in that were comfortable and safe. We wanted to do things that were good for the community. Our last house, we got a little bit starstruck in our eyes, and we went for a bigger property. We're talking into the 2 to 300 thousands now, and didn't go so well. It wasn't great, and the contract team, everybody let us down. If it could go wrong, it did go wrong. And after 12 months of nonstop problems, we broke even, but we didn't make a profit. But you go break even, okay, but it was a heck of a lot of time and money that was wasted on, trying to get things happening. So at that point, because we were already looking for other properties and finding it more difficult, we thought, okay, that was stressful. I now look at that property, by the way, as a blessing, because it forced us to look at our strategy and go, is there a different asset class that is easier for us to do from where we're doing it? The answer was yes, and the answer was land. And so that's when we started doing vacant land. No tenants, no toilets, no termites, no trash. Sometimes there's trash, but none of those major problems, no contractors. You do get a different set of problems with land, but they're a lot easier to solve. Often they're things like back taxes and liens, getting rid of or getting probates done so you can get clear title, dealing with some judgments that might be on the property, negotiating with the county, getting access. All those problems are quite easy to solve if you know how to do them compared to some of the problems that houses present you with. And the other thing as well that we're finding, we've got some customers in our marketing business that do houses. They're needing to send out, 3 to 4,000 leads just to get a property. We tend to get a land deal every 5 to 600 leads we send out. So
Well,
land we love.
yeah, no, that's exciting, and those are exciting numbers. So why don't we shift gears to that, in terms of like how you're getting deals out of market. Um, and what I'm hearing is you're saying traditional or other people are sending out 3 to 4,000 mail pieces to get one deal, and you're sending out 500 to get one deal.
Yep, correct.
So
So
what are you doing differently?
first of all, they're different asset classes. So, different asset
Okay.
classes will respond differently. So the ones that are sending out 3 to 4,000 are trying to go after off-market houses,
Got it.
pre-foreclosure homes.
Traditional flips.
traditional flips, and it's a saturated market. Like there's so many people out there still trying to get off market houses, and they're utilizing data that the experts have already gotten to. So as some people go, I'm going to download a list of pre-foreclosures and mail them in a few weeks. Done. Like it's not going to happen. The deals are already going to be gone. Like people get a list and they've got cold callers calling these people the next day saying, "Hey, you're about to lose your property. Let us buy it from you." So it's super competitive in the single family and to some degree the multifamily space where you've got fourplexes, sixplexes, like just the smaller ones. In land, it's just a very different environment. So we are targeting our land sellers in a number of ways. Where first of all, we're using data. Everything in our business is data driven. We're using data to tell us which markets to go in. They're downloading our data to have a look, and we've got our own data warehouse that we do as well. We're having a look at certain property types and attributes, and then we're sending direct mail to those people and saying, "Hey, we can see you've got land. Maybe you've been sitting on land for over a decade and you haven't done anything to it. There's no improvements. If you'd like a consult on what to do with that land, or maybe you're thinking about getting rid of it, let us know. Let's talk." So that's kind of a neutral approach. In our counties that we know really well, that we've done quite a lot of deals in, we know what things are selling for and we know what buyers are also paying. We'll do a blind offer. We'll run our numbers. We'll look at the attributes of the property and we'll send out a, "Hey, Oliver, we can see that you've been sitting on this land for a while and nothing's happening. We want to buy it direct from you. And based upon our initial assessment, here's $10,500 to buy that land. If you're interested, give us a call. We're happy to negotiate." So there's two kind of different strategies that you can do there. At the same time that we're sending direct mail, so I mentioned before that we've got our own real estate marketing company. We're also anybody that we're mailing to. And a typical month for us, Oliver, we'll mail anywhere between 5 to 20,000, depending upon what our pipeline's looking like. So on average, let's just say we're mailing 10 to 15,000 a month, because we've got a team and we want deals. So we're always working on anywhere between 30 to 40 deals at any point in time. And at the same time that we're mailing, we're social matching that data and we're pushing ads to them on Facebook, Instagram, and Google. And those ads they can click on and go straight through to our website to find out more as well and ask for an offer. So I think we need to realize these days that when it comes to real estate marketing, you really need to think about your customer experience. Customer in this moment being our seller that we're talking about, our acquisitions. And we now are dealing with sellers that are in their 80s to 90s that will respond to traditional mail. We're dealing with people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that are busy professionals that will get the letter and throw it out, but will likely go online and ask for an offer and interact with you there. The youngest seller that we've dealt with was 19. He inherited a property, lived in California like you, inherited a property in the family that he didn't even know existed, and based in Florida. And he contacted us online. We did not speak to him once. Everything was done virtually, and we closed the deal. So you need to create an environment that anybody can deal with you via phone, email, mail, online, Facebook, website, whatever it is. They need to be able to deal with you easily in whatever mechanism that they choose. Not what you choose, what they choose. So we're doing all of that, and that's how we get all of our deals.
That's really great. I love what you're doing. I love that you're hitting them in the mailbox and on social media. I think that's definitely critical in today's market. To your point, you want to meet people where they already are. And if
Yeah.
it's the younger crowd that's on the social media, you want to be there. And if it's the older crowd that like the more traditional mail, you want to be there as well.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
I want to kind of go through your process on that in terms of you mentioned the data, right? So obviously, like what data and where are you getting it, and then I want to talk about the mail and the social in terms of like how you're doing that.
Sure. So first of all, with data, as I mentioned, we've actually got our own data warehouse. So we used to go to the data retailers and buy our data direct from a retailer, but then you don't have the opportunity to interrogate that data, look at some of the trends in that data before you purchase it. And because we've now got 4 companies and all of them rely on data in order to operate, we were like, you know what? We need to invest in our own data warehouse. So we've got our own data warehouse now in the cloud that is bigger than a lot of the data resellers out there. because we want to know everything. So our data warehouse has got more than 154 million properties in it, all the owner attributes, all the property attributes. And as well as that, we've got more than 65 million business records in it. Now, you might be thinking, why would a land investor want business records? That's actually more for our marketing business, because we've got customers in our marketing business that are doing self-storage as an asset class, commercial properties, mobile home parks, retail. That's not so much about the property, it's actually the business that they're buying as well. So data drives everything. So we start with our data, and we will pull our own data, which might be, we want to go into these 5 counties, we want these property sizes, so min to max property sizes. We want the owner to have had the property for more than 5 years. Maybe we want them to all have purchased or obtained, should I say, the property in a $100 quick claim, because then if they haven't paid much for the property, they might be more motivated to sell it. We want to include trusts in there, so that if it's an estate that we're dealing with, we want to include LLCs, and we want to include individual owners, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we create like what's our ideal property and our ideal person, and then the data helps to then fulfill that. So everything's data driven in our business, even down to our buyers list and how we're doing that, because we're able to go into our own data and actually look at, well, who's been buying properties in the last 18 months? Who are the people in our
Right.
areas that have bought like 3 or more properties? Let's find out who they are and let's get in touch. Hey, we're buying properties in your area. Want one in? So data
Yeah.
drives everything, Oliver.
I like that. And so obviously, everyone listening to this is a genius, but for those of us that don't know, what exactly is a data warehouse?
So if you can, how we store things in the cloud these days, and I think sometimes people visualize that and go, "Is that like up there somewhere?" So, so we actually have a data warehouse. So it's basically a cloud platform that holds umpteen terabytes of data that has
Okay.
it's called an Azure database that's got everything in it for all of the property. And if you think about the size of that, it is massive. So housing
Yeah,
it
it's
in
gotta
the
be
cloud
insane.
means it's got to be maintained, right? So you can't really have that on a physical database, because you'd need a storage room that has physical, things in it.
Got it.
So
And
we
then
house it
did
on the
you,
cloud, and it updates daily and monthly with all the attributes in it.
wow. And did you build that or buy it?
Bit of both. Yeah, a bit of both. So we found the right partner, who's a data wholesaler, and then we partnered with them on, hey, here's how we want to run our business. We're building out products and services for our marketing customers, for some apps for our own land business. Here's what we need. Can we set up an agreement with you to use that? And for
Hmm.
anybody listening and they think, oh, that sounds easy, let me tell you, it's not, and it ain't cheap. But
Yeah,
if
I'm
you're
sure.
investing long term for your businesses and looking at, as you said, we're working on our business, not in it. We've got a whole bunch of plans for the next few years, and everything is going to be data driven. So it's worth it for us to be able to manage and interrogate our own data.
Yeah, that's great. I can see how that makes total sense. So, okay, so you're using your data warehouse to get the specific type of property that you want to target with the specific type of owner that you want to target. And now, talk to me about the mail that's getting sent out. I'm
Yep,
guessing you have like a fulfillment house, or
we
are
do.
you sending letters? Yeah, talk to me about how that
Yeah, so
works.
we've in our marketing company, Supercharged Offers, we've got an entire end-to-end acquisition process that we personally use, because we actually just built it for ourselves and then didn't realize it was going to become another company. So the whole process goes from the data cleansing, through to the mail merging, the mail proof checking, the mailing, which happens weekly. And then at the same time that mail is going out, the ads are being pushed out, and it's all in the one system. So we've been able to automate that end-to-end process, which for our customers has saved them a huge amount of time. So we're always mailing and we're always marketing, even when we're sleeping. So it happens pretty seamlessly. And obviously, we've got a team of people that manage that. So we've got people in our team that will download the data, go through the cleansing processes, verify that, put everything into a mail merge, upload that to our printer. We've got a relationship with a huge printer in the US that, because we're literally printing hundreds of thousands of letters and offers a month,
Mm,
with all of our customers, and that just runs. So we've got a dashboard that we use with them. Everything's seamless and integrated, and we just run. So it's not as difficult as what you think. I do know some real estate investors out there that still print their own letters, and I'm like, That's a
Yeah.
waste of time.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And it sounds like not only that you figured it out, but with the superchargedoffers.com that you mentioned, you sell that as a service so someone
We
else can
do.
just plug in.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we've got
And
lots of customers that we've actually automated their entire acquisitions pipeline. So all that they're doing, like we're doing all of their data, their digital integration, their websites, their branding, their Facebook, their social media, their mailing, all the online and offline activities. We're doing all of it for them. So up until the point that their phone rings or someone asks for an offer or someone accepts an offer, they take over from there.
mm,
And that's been really great for a lot of our customers. We've got some really experienced investors that we're working with, Oliver, and what they've noticed is that one of our investors, literally in the last 2 years, we've helped them double their business because they've no longer
wow.
got VAs that are doing administrative stuff. They've retrained their VAs to take more calls, to run comps, to get back to people, to negotiate. So they're now focused on the stuff that makes us money, right? We all know that the stuff that makes us money is when we're talking with our sellers, talking with our buyers, and doing deals. What doesn't make us money is spending 3 days cleansing data and trying to work out how to do a mail merge. Like that doesn't make
Yeah.
you money. It's
And then
essential,
printing
doesn't
out
make you money.
letters and stuffing envelopes and taking them to the post office and all of that
No,
that no one wants to be
don't.
doing. So okay,
Yep.
so I like that. So definitely check that out, guys. I think I'm all about done for you.
Yep.
What does
This is
something
done
like that
for you.
cost? It sounds like you're saying 500 mail pieces ish was getting a deal. Obviously, we can't hold you to that, but let's say to send out 1,000 mail pieces a month, we want to get a couple deals going. What does something like that run for the done for you
Yeah.
service?
So the whole done for you service and what's probably best if anybody wants to know details, because we actually do a consulting call with every customer to work out like where they're at in their business, what's the volume that they're aiming for, and then what do they need versus what don't they need. Some people come to us and they don't have a website, or their website's completely crap, pardon the Aussiness there. Or they'll come to us, their website's awesome, but they haven't automated their mailing and stuff yet. So first and foremost, it's about making sure that we find out what our customers need. Because if they don't have a website or it's not performing, we'll actually build everything out. It's like a business in a box more than anything. But to send out like a thousand mailings, depending, and here's the thing is that as well, the more volume that you do, the cheaper it gets, just like when you're working with any company, right?
Right, makes
So if
sense. Yeah.
someone was to send out just 1,000, and we tend to also work with our customers on a 3 monthly cycle. There's no
Well,
contracts or
that's what I was
anything,
going to
but
say. Assume it's 1,000 a month, right? Yeah.
yeah, if we're doing
Okay.
a thousand a month is actually too small, by the way. For anyone listening in the current market, minimum 2,000 a month is what I'd be doing. Minimum.
Even better.
Otherwise, you're
Even
not even
better.
in the game. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you were to be sending 2,000 a month, let me just now again, anybody listening, this comes with a caveat of needing to talk to you about your own business and what you actually do need versus what you don't need. So for 2,000 a month, you're looking at 1,997 to get everything sent out. So 1,197. Now, here's what I don't want people listening to do, Oliver. Don't compare that to the cost of a stamp. It's not. This is an entire team that is now doing
Yeah.
all of your data, all of your data
I mean,
cleansing,
$1 a
merging.
mail piece printed and sent to a targeted person is like dirt cheap, in my opinion.
It is. And it's color printing. There's no windows on the envelopes. Everything's professionally branded. The envelopes are actually really plain because we want people to open them to see what's in there.
Right.
Everything looks great. So I think that done for you service is actually really economical because it saves you so much time and
Yeah, and it
frustration as
only gets
well.
cheaper the more you send, so that
Correct.
makes total
Correct.
sense. Cool. And then back to you targeted these people, you've sent the mailers, now you're also targeting them on social media.
Correct.
Talk to me about how you're doing that.
Yeah, so we in our campaigns we actually set up Google and Facebook ads, and if you've got Instagram linked to your Facebook, it pushes it to there too. And these ads are actually like little gifts. So Oliver, when you are searching something on Google, let's just say you're wanting to read the news on Google, and you bring up the NBC website or whatever it might be. And as you're reading through the news, you've got little banners on the side, little banners on the top, and little things that pop up in the middle. That's where we're
Mhm.
advertising. So on the top banner, side banner, and in the middle, you might be reading a recipe on how to make pumpkin pie. And there in the middle of it will be an ad, and it's a GIF, so it's animated. It's not just a static image, And on that will be things like, if you've been sitting on land for, 5 years and done nothing with it, call my team for a free consult. Have you got a house that's in total disrepair and you don't know where to start? Download our free ebook on what to do and how to get help. Have you been sitting on a property that you've inherited and needs a probate and you don't know what to do? Call my team. We've got the experts. So it's speaking the language of the seller, and it's all
Right.
movement, and they can click through that and go straight to your website where they'll find out more information about you. And specifically when we're building out our content and our websites for our customers, it's less about, get your cash now. It's not gimmicky. These days, in the real estate business, we're not necessarily in the business of real estate. We're actually in the business of building relationships. It's how do I build trust and credibility and rapport with my sellers so that they go, yeah, I like you and I think you can help me. So it's about building those sites where they get to, and that's like, oh, I do have a problem property and I don't know what to do. I've tried to work with a realtor. They haven't been able to sell it. It's got problems. I just want it gone. They need language and imagery on there that makes them feel safe. So we create environments in that customer experience where the seller goes from the ad straight through and it's like, okay, these guys know what they're talking about. Click, I'm going to ask for an offer. And that offer then comes straight through to you to say, hey, Oliver Graf's just gone onto your website. Here's his information. He's asking for an offer. Give him a call. In addition to that, we're also, whenever people are filling out information on the websites, because there's a few things they can do, we set up email automation that also manages their expectations and the communications with them for you. That's all done. So you don't even need to contact them back straight away. They're already being contacted.
And the way that you're able to target them on the social media is just because you have their data, you have name, email, phone number, you just upload that to
Correct.
Facebook or Google or whatever, and then
Correct.
follow them
Yeah,
around.
it's just called a social match. 90% of the population have some kind of online profile. And I always say, my parents are in their late 70s. They've got Google accounts, Facebook accounts, they're everywhere. Not everyone is, but most people are. So a lot of people do have an online profile of some kind, and it's pretty easy these days to find out what that is. It's actually a bit scary to know what you can find out about people.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
it exists, so we utilize it. And we're the thing with that as well, Oliver, is a lot of people pay ad campaigns where they're doing pay-per-click, or they're, you know, building out Facebook ads that is going out to everybody in their region. But if that's getting put in front of people that don't own a property, or they don't have a problem property, it's wasted money. So we're only targeting
Absolutely.
those that we're mailing because that's your target list. And
Mm.
over time, you really start to see those numbers go up.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that. Um, Well, that's a lot of really good tips on finding deals. I love the approach of how you're just segmenting the data and then really targeting them nonstop, mailbox, social media, following them around, kind of just speaking directly to them as well, as opposed to the spray and pray approach, and
Exactly.
throwing everything out there. So let's talk about then once you get to the point where you have a lead, they raise their hand, they like the idea of moving forward, and you're ready to you put it under contract or you're about to put it under contract. How are you making sure that you're not getting ripped off, being that it's in a completely different market, and I'm guessing you're not going to every property anymore. So how are you
We
making
haven't seen
sure that
any of our properties in years. Um, Online, everything is available. So first of all, we get it under contract first, and in our contract, we've got a due diligence period. So in that due diligence, my team will get on the phone to the county, get on the phone to planning and zoning, get on the phone to the local utilities companies. We'll get onto Google Maps and have a look around and see what's going on. We'll do research on GIS maps. We'll have a look at topography online, and everything is available at your fingertips, Oliver. Literally everything. It's amazing what you can find out. So we've got quite a detailed due diligence process that my team goes through to check out all of the information about that property. We go and download the deed. We go and look at title reports. We do everything. So in that period of time, we're then making an assessment, and that will lead us to one of a number of actions. One, we accept the contract and we go, now let's move it into the next phase of finding an end user or closing on it, finding a seller finance partner, whole range of things. Two, we find out information that the seller didn't tell us, so we go back and renegotiate. Hey, Mr. Seller, we've done our due diligence. We can see that there's no road access and 80% of it's in a wetlands. We still want to explore the property with you, but we're going to reduce the price by X. So if you still want to sell, let's go. Or number three, problems. The property's got way too many problems. We cancel the contract, and we have that
Got it.
clause in our contracts too, right? So, it's where we're safeguarding ourselves at every point.
So good. Yeah, that makes total sense. So is that just like an option contract type of thing, or
Yeah,
how when
yeah,
you?
pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a wholesale
Okay.
contract, and it does have those clauses in there. So, the seller knows that, we know that, and we're very upfront with them about it.
Very cool. Then you make your decision. Let's assume that you're moving forward. What's the next step in the process?
Yep. So depending on the property itself, we might close on it straight away because it might be one that we want to personally buy and hold. And if so, like we tend to do the ones buy and hold where we can see that there's opportunities for us to get some forced appreciation on the property, either subdivide it. We've got builders in our networks that source deals from us, so we know which ones they want. So we'll close on it straight away. Sometimes we may use a private money lender to come in with us on that deal, or we'll buy it ourselves. We may just get it under contract, and that contract, we always put our contracts and/or assignees. So we may then find an end user for that property. We've got the right under our contract to market the property. So we'll go out to our network and we'll put it on all the different sites out there, and we'll find an end user because the seller hasn't done that. We're going to do it for them. So we go and find an end user for the property. So we've got the seller, we've got the buyer, then we close them together. So most of our properties that we do that way, we just do a double close. So we're not actually buying the property at all, but we are at closing technically because the A to B closings with us, the B to C closings with the buyer. So technically we are in the middle there because only the seller and buyer see us. They don't see anything else. So we just conduct a double close and then we get paid.
Yeah, that's great.
And in
Um,
amongst all that, by the way, if there are things like probates, back taxes, liens, we're clearing all of that before closing, and making sure that we can pass on an equitable title or marketable title to the next person.
so you're taking care of all the problems, and that's
Yeah,
how you're forcing the appreciation.
correct.
That's awesome.
Forcing the appreciation, but also negotiating with the seller to say, we're going to fix all these things that you haven't been able to,
Right.
but we're going to reduce the price for you so that you can get rid of the property and we're not out of pocket.
Yeah, makes sense. Sounds like a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, that's the whole goal, Oliver. Win, win, win. Win for the seller,
Yeah.
win for us, win for the buyer.
Yep. And so, of the deals that you're doing now, like what percentage are you keeping? Are you just getting rid of all of them? Or is it just kind of deal by deal you look at it?
It's deal by deal. Yeah, it's deal by deal. There's certain things that we'll look for in the ones that we keep versus the ones we get rid of. It's deal by deal. Yeah.
And I've been talking to a lot of other people lately that are inland, and I found it really interesting that a lot of them they buy it and then they'll sell it, but they carry back the financing so that they basically hold the note on it.
Yep.
So
We do
they
that.
don't have to deal with any of the problems. They just make sure the money's coming in. Do
Yep.
you explore that as
We've
well?
we've yeah we've got I think we've last count I think we've got about 10 or 12 that are under seller financing agreements, where we hold the note, and that's giving great passive income every month, and we'll do more of
Sure.
those all the time.
Yeah, those sound great. I was very fascinated to learn that.
And they're
Um,
easy to do as well.
yeah, exactly. So cool. I got a couple questions left. I guess this is just an easy one, but you're doing a lot of deals out of market. We have a lot of people looking to do deals out of state and in investing in real estate wise. What would you say is kind of like the top tip or the top couple of things that someone should know going into that type of thing?
My first tip is don't let distance distract you. The fact that you want to invest in a different state, or a different country for that matter, shouldn't hold you back because everything is at your fingertips these days. So if your mindset is I have to see it, no, you don't. I literally know hundreds of people that are doing deals sight unseen. Yes, it does add a various element of risk, but as long as you protect yourself, it's nothing that you can't get out of. So always just look at the positive and just push your mindset through a little bit more. The other thing I would say is, find those boots on the ground, find those people that if you do have doubts can go and check stuff out for you. There's services out there these days. We Go Look. Google it. We Go Look. You can literally have a property and go onto We Go Look and say, hey, can you just jump out to that property and take some video for me, take some imagery, or video call me when you're out there so you can do a virtual walkthrough.
That's amazing. It's a great idea.
There's so many things that you can do. It's you physically do not have to be there. So
yeah,
really challenge yourselves, everybody listening, on the traditional ways of doing business. You don't even have to go to a county and download a list. That's so 2019. There's lots of things that are out there. Just let your fingers do the talking. Jump onto Yelp and find yourself a drone operator. There's loads of drone operators that'll go out, especially if it's a big property and it's acreage. They'll go out and do some really awesome drone footage for you and zoom down into things. And then you get this video for like $120, maybe less than, depending upon where they are. That's like you being there, if not better. Everything's at your fingertips.
Yeah, I love that. It really is a great mindset. And to your point, like if you just spend enough time researching, all the tools are out there. We Go Look.
They really are.
I've never even heard of that, but it makes total sense because there's a lot of times when people are looking to buy a property out of state when they're like, man, if I could just get someone to go there and FaceTime the whole thing and whatever, then that would help. So it's all out there.
There's literally nothing that you can't do remotely these days. And unfortunately, I know we've all gone through the last 2 years of pandemic, but I think the silver lining in that is that so many businesses have adapted to be able to do things better and more efficiently and virtually. And so there's nothing out there that we haven't come across that can't be solved by something that we've researched.
Awesome. Love it. Totally agree. So my two questions I always like to end with, number one, and you already dropped one good one, but what are some of your favorite just tools and apps that are helping you run your remote real estate investing business?
I would say one of the best tools and apps that we're using is our CRM. So we use Fresh Sales, which is part of the Freshworks suite. And it's not a real estate platform, but we use it for all of our businesses. We've been able to customize it to the point that it runs our business for us. So best thing is invest in a CRM that's going to allow you to run your business in the way that you want. I see a lot of people that go, oh, I'll go get that CRM because it's $50 a month. But then they waste so much time and energy on things that aren't working or things that they can't integrate. We invested a lot in our CRM, but it literally does everything for us, from all of our contacts coming in via phone, email, SMS, to our team running tasks, to how we manage pipelines, to automation of, emails, notifications, task management. The entire thing runs our business, and that's why our team can do a lot of what they do without us needing to be there. So number one tip, CRM, Fresh Sales. Get people to email me. I'll send them some information. I'm more than happy to share.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. That's a really good one. Obviously, We Go Look was a really good one. And I mean, you didn't even ask me to plug this, but based on our conversation, sounds like superchargedoffers.com is a pretty good resource for people as well in terms of targeted mailings.
Yeah, an amazing resource for anybody that wants to look at their real estate marketing, particularly their acquisitions marketing. We've got a team that do it all. So, let us know. We'll be happy to let you know how we can help.
Most definitely. Last question I have is I have two young boys at home, and I always like to ask the successful entrepreneurs that I'm talking to what advice they would give to the young kids out there on how to be successful in life.
Oh, what a great question. Don't be afraid to fail would be my first thing. We've made mistakes along the way, but those mistakes have been things that we've been able to learn from, implement new processes and systems to not have that happen again. So have that growth mindset, and don't be afraid to not have things go as planned, because on your journey to success, not everything is going to go perfectly. And I think that's why a lot of wannabe entrepreneurs don't make it, because stuff gets hard or things happen and they're like, this is not for me. So you've got to have a bit of grit, and you've got to be okay with things not being perfect.
I love it. Very good. And totally agree. I think grit is what really separates the successful from the unsuccessful. Because sometimes, like you said, the road gets hard and it's real easy to just tuck tail and run away. But
It is.
those that can brave the fire and keep going are usually the ones that make it all the way.
Absolutely, Oliver. And we still 5 years in, we have awesome days that we're like, yeah, today's a great day, time to celebrate. But we still have days that we're like, crap, that didn't go right. And that's normal. So
Exactly.
you've got to expect them, but it's how you approach them and work through them that defines you. And not only defines you, but when you've got a team of, as I said, we've got a team of 13 now, it defines them because whatever you do to approach that problem, they will feel and they will experience.
Yeah, totally agree.
Mm.
Well, very good. I definitely appreciate it. For those people that want to connect with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure. So they can go to superchargedoffers.com. There's some free resources on our page as well for real estate investors. We've got a free business growth plan. No, I know a lot of real estate investors that don't actually have a strategy and a business plan, so they can download that. They can also download a free ebook on the combination of online and offline, so how digital and mailing is working together. They can book time with me on there, or they can literally just email me direct, Oliver. I don't mind people reaching out. So that's just Alicia, which is ALICIA at superchargedoffers.com, or call my team. My team will happily book a time for me to do a consult with you. And our phone number, Oliver, is 888 538 5478.
Cool. Well, once again, I appreciate your time, appreciate you coming on. And for those of you listening, if you like money and you like real estate, as always, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, Oliver.